Hi, I'm Nicole Kalinda, speech language pathologist, professor, and founder of Voice for Possibility. And this week in the classes that I teach at the graduate level, we've been talking a lot about velopharyngeal closure and how, if velopharyngeal closure is incomplete, how this can affect consonant production. So I want to just quickly share with you a graphic that I've been sharing with my class, and I'm hoping you could see this okay. So I want to bring your attention to these two images here, hypernasal versus hyponasal. And what we can see in the hypernasal is that air is going through both the nasal cavity and the oral cavity. And I want to just come back for a second and think about, when does air resonate here in this nasal cavity? Just for three sounds, right? The M, the N, and the ing. Otherwise, what we would see is this would be closed off. The air would come up from the respiratory system, and it would be here in the oral cavity, which is what we see for all other sounds, right? So nasal sounds, again, have air coming through the nasal cavity, and all other sounds have air coming through the oral cavity. But what has to happen with this is really good timing with this velopharyngeal port to get that closure at just the right time. So if we have something, or if we're seeing something in our clients called incomplete velopharyngeal closure, what we might see is first an overriding hypernasality in that child's output. So when we think about what hypernasal is, this might be dating me, but I always think about the actress Fran Drescher, and she talks very nasal. That's what we'll see if there's air escaping into the nasal cavity when it shouldn't be. That would be a hypernasal resonance. And we might see that if we don't have good closure here. So the air should have been funneled just through here, let's say, but this is open, maybe even just a little bit. But now that air is coming through the nasal cavity when it shouldn't be. And we're hearing a hypernasal quality to that child's output. The other thing that we might be hearing is weak plosives. And if we think about what we need for plosives, we need a really good buildup of intraoral air. So let's think about a B. I close my lips, I build up that air in my oral cavity, and then I expel that air. When we look at if there is sort of incomplete velopharyngeal closure here, which I'm going back here, we might see labial closure for that B in the child in front of us. But because they're not able to close this off back here, we're not getting that buildup like we would want to see here in the oral cavity in the way that we would want to. And what might happen here is that expulsion of air sounds weak, and maybe the subsequent output is mushy, not crisp. It's another way to think about it. So sometimes this isn't clear. We're sitting in front of the client and we're not exactly sure what's going on. The resonance, this might come in and out. This child might be getting closure on some instances, and they might not be on other instances, which might cause you to think something is going on with their resonance. I'm not really quite sure what. We may see this happen in kids with CAS, because if we think about it, this is a timing issue here. You have to align the velopharyngeal closure at just the right time so that we get the intended output that we're looking for. So again, what we talked about right now is how incomplete velopharyngeal closure could affect consonants. And two of the things we might see are weak consonants, especially weak plosives, because you need that buildup of air. And then an overriding, sort of overarching hypernasality to that child's output. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll have some more tidbits coming up during the course of the semester. I look forward to seeing you here. And if you have any questions, you can reach me at Nicole@voiceforpossibility.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks again.